There is brand new reporting from Julie K. Brown of the Miami Herald. She's been a trailblazer on the Epstein story. Once again, calls into question every single statement Trump puts forward when it comes to the central issue. What did Donald Trump know, and when did he know it, about Jeffrey Epstein's child sex trafficking? From that reporting, quote, in July 2006, just as Jeffrey Epstein's criminal sex charge became public, Donald Trump called then Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Reiter to tell him that Epstein's activities with teenage girls were well known in both New York and Palm Beach. Reiter recalled his conversation with Trump in a 2019 interview with the FBI. More from the reporting, quote, thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this, Trump told Reiter. Reiter told FBI agents that Donald Trump revealed that Epstein's associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, was Epstein's, quote, operative, and that Donald Trump said, quote, she is evil, and to focus on her, according to the reporting. Trump told Reiter that, quote, he was around Epstein once when teenagers were present, and Trump got the hell out of there, the report said. Donald Trump also told Reiter that he threw Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago club. A Justice Department official tells us that, quote, we are not aware of any corroborating evidence that the president contacted law enforcement 20 years ago. While this squares with something the White House has said in the past, it does not square with what Trump has said himself about the past. This is from 2019, the days after Jeffrey Epstein's arrest.
Did you have any suspicions that he was molesting young women,
no,
underage women?
Idea. I had no idea. I haven't spoken to him in many, many years.
If, quote, everyone has known he's been doing this, as Trump reportedly put it, and Trump himself was with Epstein when there were teenagers present and, quote, got the hell out of there, as he said, why didn't he contact authorities? Why didn't he contact authorities when Epstein, quote, stole, Trump's words, not ours, survivor Virginia Roberts Giuffre from her job at the spa at Mar-a-Lago in the year 2000? Trump did say this, though, about all that back in July of last year.
Yeah, he took people, and because he took people, I said, don't do it anymore. You know, they work for me. And he took, beyond that, he took some others. And once he did that, that was the end of him. I didn't like, when they steal people, I don't like it.
Stealing people. Stealing people. It's worth noting, Trump did say something about Epstein's proclivities, but it was not to law enforcement. It was to a reporter writing an article in New York Magazine in the year 2002. He said this, quote, about Jeffrey Epstein. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side, end quote, from Donald Trump. I want to bring in once again to our coverage Jess Michaels. She's a survivor of abuse by Jeffrey Epstein. She's become a fierce advocate for accountability from the government and part of this sisterhood of survivors. Also joining us, New York Times investigative reporter Mike Schmidt. Michael Feinberg is still with us as well. Jess, I know you're in D.C. advocating for something, and I know that you guys are trying to build something better and stronger and more durable in the place of all of your trauma. And so let me first ask you about Virginia's law.
Thank you. Firstly, thank you so much for having me, Nicole. And it was a beautiful and painful morning where Virginia's law was announced. And it is a statute of limitations on sexual abuse and trafficking victims, removing statute of limitations. And it will have a one-year window. So anyone that has ever been sexually abused or trafficked will have a one-year look-back window.
Did you feel, and I know this is not a scientific question, but was it a bipartisan reception to the announcement?
That's a great question. I don't know. It was just a press conference, so we didn't get to talk to anyone. We did hear powerful statements from Chuck Schumer and Teresa Fernandez, and was very happy to stand with Sky and Amanda Roberts, who helped create this bill with Sigrid McCauley. You
have signed onto a letter responding to Attorney General Pam Bondi and how they've handled the release of what they have released in response to the passage of the law. Let me read from that letter, and let's talk about that a little bit. You write, all the survivors, right? In recent days, senior Justice Department officials have suggested that the latest release of Epstein-related files represents transparency and that survivors should now have the closure we deserve. We must be clear, this release does not provide closure. It feels instead like a deliberate attempt to intimidate survivors, punish those who came forward, and reinforce the same culture of secrecy that allowed Jeffrey Epstein's crimes to continue for decades. First, the redactions and disclosures in this release are reckless and dangerous. Survivors' names and identifying details have once again been exposed. Second, this release remains incomplete in a way that's both staggering and indefensible. The government has acknowledged that millions of pages are being withheld with no explanation of what is missing, why it is missing, or if the rest will be released. Survivors are being asked to accept fragments of significantly redacted material, while the full architecture of Epstein's trafficking network remains concealed. This was made so clear by Congressman Ro Khanna and Congressman Jamie Raskin, who went in. They said they were there for 2 hours and they saw the names of 6 men, 3 American men who they said were not from politics, but prominent men, and 3 men from abroad. So even in a cursory look, it's clear that the men's names were redacted, and many of the survivors' personal and, as you said, identifying information was revealed. What is the process for flipping that on its head?
That's actually a wonderful question. That's part of the list of questions that we've presented to Congress or to the House Judiciary Committee to ask Pam Bondi tomorrow. There's a lot that has not been answered, and the redactions are so egregious. I just really want to make the point that survivors' identifying information, not just their full names, but we're talking birthdates, addresses, phone numbers, nude photos were all released. And yet, very meticulously, we didn't see any co-conspirator names. So when we say this feels deliberate, it is not an exaggeration, and the problem cannot be overstated, that this job was so botched. The Pam Bondi should be hanging her head in shame right now.